If you think that is a good look, it is a very bad look.
Mr. Speaker, I think she at the weekend said that she said that...
The room fell silent. Every MP turned. And then came the words no one expected: the Leader of the Opposition has a responsibility to uphold the Ministerial Code. This is a serious matter. The Speaker's voice echoed across the chamber, and just like that, Keir Starmer was called out in front of the entire House of Commons. Not by a political opponent, but by the Speaker himself. In British politics, this is rare. Very rare. And what followed left many stunned and others whispering, has Starmer finally crossed the line? It started like any other session, heated debates, finger-pointing, and fiery speeches from both sides of the aisle. But just as Prime Minister's questions came to a close, the Speaker rose and adjusted his notes. His tone changed. Calm, firm, and loaded with weight. He looked directly at Sir Keir Starmer and delivered a message that was anything but ordinary. The Speaker raised concerns about a recent incident involving Starmer and what could potentially be a breach of the Ministerial Code. While not giving full judgment, the Speaker made it clear the integrity of this House depends on transparency and accountability. No one, regardless of rank or ambition, is above the rules. For those unfamiliar, the Speaker of the House acts as a neutral figure. Their job is to control the chamber, enforce order, and uphold parliamentary procedure, not to weigh in on political rivalries. So when the Speaker interrupts proceedings to call out the Leader of the Opposition, it means something has gone deeply wrong. Reports say the Speaker was referring to an issue that emerged over the past 48 hours. Starmer allegedly failed to disclose something crucial, possibly financial links or internal communications tied to a past legal case. Others say it may involve internal misuse of Labour resources. Whatever the case, the mention of the Ministerial Code brought the atmosphere in Parliament to a near standstill. The MPs glanced at each other. Some on the Conservative side smirked, others nodded as if they had been waiting for this. Labour backbenchers, meanwhile, looked tense. And Starmer himself? He didn't interrupt. He didn't speak. He simply sat, stone-faced, as the Speaker continued. The moment was captured live. Clips of it are now going viral on social media. Twitter exploded with phrases like, Starmer exposed, and Speaker finally speaks out. Political commentators are already calling it the biggest test of Starmer's leadership yet, but what makes this moment even more powerful is the timing. With the country moving toward a possible general election, and Labour consistently ahead in the polls, a public accusation, even an indirect one, from the Speaker could shift public trust. Many people had viewed Starmer as a cleaner, rule-following contrast to previous leadership scandals. Now that image is being challenged. The Speaker's statement didn't accuse Starmer outright of wrongdoing, but it opened the door to questions. Tough ones. And if those questions aren't answered soon, the political pressure may build faster than anyone expects. As this story develops, what we know is this: the Speaker doesn't speak lightly. And when he does, especially against someone at the top of the opposition, it's a sign that something serious is brewing beneath the surface. The Ministerial Code is more than just a set of rules. It's the ethical backbone of British government. Every minister, including the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition, is expected to follow this code. It outlines how those in power must behave, how they manage public money, declare private interests, and stay honest with Parliament and the public. Breaking the code doesn't always lead to jail time, but it often leads to resignation, scandal, and political disgrace. The code demands honesty, integrity, and transparency. It tells ministers that they must avoid conflicts of interest, not use their position for personal gain, and always declare gifts, trips, or payments. If someone lies to Parliament or hides something important, it's a direct hit to the code. And that's exactly why the Speaker's words hit so hard. The moment the Speaker referenced the Ministerial Code, the message was clear: Starmer might be in breach of trust. He may not have committed a crime, but he may have crossed a political and moral line. And in British politics, that can be just as damaging. In the past, we've seen ministers step down for less. One forgot to declare a paid speaking event. Another took a private flight funded by a donor. These weren't major crimes, but they broke the code. The public expects clean hands from those who lead, and the media wastes no time when those hands appear dirty. So, what might Starmer have done? That's the question everyone is now asking. The rumor spreading through political circles is that he may have failed to report certain communications related to Labour Party funds. Others believe it involves his legal background, perhaps an undeclared client, or a payment that wasn't disclosed on time. Regardless of the exact details, the fact that the Speaker brought this up in front of Parliament signals that it's not just political gossip anymore. It's now part of official discussion, and it's on the record. The Ministerial Code is often viewed as a quiet rulebook, sitting behind the scenes. But when it's broken, or even suspected to be, it can shake governments. It can change elections. It can destroy careers. Right now, Starmer's team is staying quiet. No official statement has been released to explain or deny the Speaker's warning. That silence is only adding fuel to the fire. Political opponents are already calling for a formal investigation. Some say Starmer should step aside while this is resolved. Others demand that he appear in front of a committee. For viewers and voters, this moment is not just about one man. It's about whether those who claim to fight for justice and transparency are really living by the rules. If Starmer is cleared, he may come out stronger. But if this grows into a full scandal, it could shake the very foundation of Labour's campaign going into the next election. The Ministerial Code is not just words on paper, it's a test. And right now, many believe Keir Starmer is failing it. The heart of the issue lies in a recent report quietly submitted to the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner. According to early leaks, the complaint points to Sir Keir Starmer's failure to disclose a key financial transaction linked to his previous legal work that may still have ties to current party operations. Though no official details have been confirmed by his office, several sources claim it involves a donation, or possibly legal fees, that were either misreported or omitted entirely from public declarations. Now, why does this matter? Because the Ministerial Code clearly demands full transparency, especially when it comes to financial interests. Every pound received must be tracked, registered, and reported. Even if the money was earned years ago, if it relates to Starmer's current political role or the Labour Party's operations, it has to be known. Hiding it, intentionally or not, is considered a breach of the public trust. The storm really picked up after journalists began asking questions that the Labour team refused to answer. Political commentators noticed a gap in Starmer's financial disclosure timeline, roughly 6 months with no updates, even while he was actively engaging with legal clients and restructuring the Labour Party's internal legal unit. The silence was unusual. And in politics, unusual silence often means one thing: damage control. Then came the Speaker's intervention. With the press circling and pressure building inside Westminster, the Speaker chose to address the issue directly in the House. While careful not to accuse Starmer of wrongdoing outright, his words served as a clear warning that no one is above accountability. It's now evident this isn't just media speculation anymore, it's a matter Parliament may need to investigate. So, was it a donation? A secret meeting? An undeclared client? At this stage, all we know for certain is that there's a growing call for answers. Some insiders believe the issue stems from Starmer's time advising a legal group that is now closely linked to Labour's shadow cabinet. Others suggest there was a delay in registering payments that supported recent policy reports, something that could appear as political influence if not properly disclosed. To make things worse, the timing couldn't be more damaging. Labour is preparing for a general election. The party has been climbing in the polls, presenting Starmer as a clean, disciplined alternative to the scandals that plagued past governments. But now, his image of integrity is under threat, and this isn't just about public image. If the investigation confirms the breach, Starmer could face official sanctions. At best, he may be forced to issue a public apology. At worst, he could be suspended from parliamentary duties or face calls for resignation, just months before a national vote. Political rivals are not wasting any time. Conservative MPs have already submitted questions to the House regarding the alleged breach. Social media is exploding with hashtags like #StarmerCodeBreach and #LabourTransparencyCrisis. Even some Labour MPs are reportedly frustrated, saying the party should have been more upfront from the start. This sudden turn of events is throwing Labour's election strategy into chaos. Behind the scenes, party advisors are scrambling to manage the fallout. Some are urging Starmer to release a full statement before the week ends. Others argue that silence is safer until more facts are gathered. But with public trust hanging in the balance, time is running out. What makes this even more explosive is that Starmer has long used ethics and transparency as weapons in his political toolkit. He has frequently called for accountability, demanded resignations from Tory ministers, and promised a new culture of honesty in British politics. Now, with his own actions in question, critics are accusing him of hypocrisy. The Speaker's warning was not a direct punishment, but it was a loud message. It told Parliament, the media, and the public, pay attention. Something here smells wrong. And until Starmer responds clearly, this story isn't going anywhere. The fallout began the moment the Speaker's words hit the headlines. Within an hour, political Twitter was on fire. Journalists, commentators, rival MPs, all jumped on the story. The central question dominating every headline: can Keir Starmer survive this? From the Conservative side, the response was fast and fierce. Multiple senior Tory MPs called for an immediate investigation. One even submitted a letter to the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner demanding Starmer be referred to the Privileges Committee. They argued that Starmer, who built his public image on integrity, could not be allowed to duck scrutiny now that his own conduct was under question. The accusation? Hypocrisy, plain and simple, but it wasn't just the opposition piling on. Inside Labour, things are getting tense. Some backbenchers are growing nervous, fearing that this scandal could derail their hard-fought progress in the polls. A few are quietly urging Starmer to come clean, even if it means admitting to a mistake. One senior figure in the party was quoted off the record, saying, "We can't lecture others about ethics if we hide our own problems." Public reaction is just as divided. On one hand, loyal Starmer supporters see the issue as exaggerated, more political theatre than real misconduct. They argue that the Speaker's remarks were procedural, not personal, and that Starmer will be cleared once facts emerge. On the other hand, critics point to his silence as proof that there's more to uncover. The longer he waits to respond, the more damaging the perception becomes. Meanwhile, the media has seized the moment. Front-page stories have exploded across major outlets, with headlines like, "Speaker slams Starmer, Labour in ethics crisis," and "Ministerial Code may be breached, what did Starmer hide?" News channels are running back-to-back analysis segments, dissecting the Speaker's language and debating the possible breaches line by line. Even foreign media is watching closely. With the UK preparing for a pivotal election, Starmer has been seen internationally as a stable, moderate leader ready to bring calm after years of political turmoil. Now, with this scandal emerging, that image is being tested, not just at home, but globally. What happens next could determine Starmer's political future. If the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner opens a formal investigation, it could take weeks, or even months, to conclude. And that process alone, regardless of the outcome, could be enough to damage Labour's momentum. In the short term, Starmer faces two urgent options. First, he could go public, release a full statement, explain the situation clearly, and take responsibility if needed. This approach might restore some trust and show leadership. But it also opens him up to further scrutiny if any detail is left out or spun poorly. The second option is to stay quiet, let legal and parliamentary processes unfold, and hope the storm passes. But this risks letting critics control the narrative and paint him as evasive. In politics, silence often screams louder than words. Insiders say Starmer's team is currently weighing both strategies. They've gone into lockdown, no interviews, no comments, no press events. Meanwhile, Labour's communications department is working overtime behind the scenes, likely crafting a response that can limit damage without exposing deeper problems to IN. Parliament, MPs are already bracing for more developments. The Speaker has the power to escalate the issue if more evidence is presented. Committees can summon documents or witnesses. And if Starmer is formally found to have breached the code, it could trigger serious parliamentary consequences, including suspension or forced resignation from leadership roles, all this while the general public watches on, weary of yet another scandal in British politics. Voters have been burned before, by broken promises, lies, and cover-ups. For many, Starmer was supposed to be the antidote to all that. But this moment could change that image forever. This isn't just a test of legal compliance. It's a test of character, leadership, and truth. And right now, all eyes are on Keir Starmer, not just for answers, but for honesty.